Hello everyone. In the last video, we have seen some of the built-in methods in strings. In this video, we'll continue with the remaining built-in methods. We are going to first focus on make trans and then translate functions. So this make trans method is used to construct a translation table of character mapping. For example, I have certain set of characters. I want to replace those characters with some other character. It's not that those characters should appear continuously. They can be anywhere. If you want to replace a set of character with another set of characters, that can be done with the help of these two functions. So here, first, we are going to construct the translation table. We are going to specify the list of characters that need to be replaced in the whole string. And we have to also specify the characters that need to be deleted from the string. If we need to delete some characters, that can also be mentioned. So this function is going to accept three arguments, str1, str2, and then str3. So here, str1 is going to specify the list of characters that need to be replaced, and str2 is going to specify the list of character with which the characters need to be replaced. And str3 is going to specify the list of characters. If we want to delete something, that is to be specified in str3. And this function is going to return a translation table, and this table specify whatever conversion we are going to do with the help of the next function called translate. So the second function is translate, and this function is going to accept a table as the argument. This table is nothing but the translation table created by the make trans function. And the translation table is going to tell all the mapping to perform the specified translations, and it is going to return the string after performing all the translations. Now let's understand this with an example. So in this example, in my string, whenever I get letters A, B, C, I want to replace those letters with X, Y, Z respectively. And if I have letters T and O, that is part of message 2, they should be deleted in my string. So I want to do this translation. First, I'm going to create the translation table by means of the make trans function. So here I'm going to assume that the message I have in my string is I went to see ABCD movie. So now I'm going to call the function make trans with the help of this particular string, because I need to convert this string according to the translation I want to do. And here I'm going to pass three arguments. The first argument is str1, that is containing the characters to be translated. And the second argument is str2, which contains the character to replace with. And then the third is str3, that contains the character to be deleted. Now let me perform this. When I execute this, it is going to create the translation table. After that, to perform the translation, I have to call the function translate by passing this translation table. Finally, I am printing the message. Let me run this. So if you see, the output is here, ABC in the original string ABC are replaced with XYZ. So you can see in this ABC is replaced with XYZ, and then D is retained as such. And the letters T and O are deleted from the message. So in when T is deleted, so I have B, W, E, N only. Next, the two characters T and O are deleted because both are present in the set of characters to be deleted. After that, in movie, O is deleted, so I am getting M, B, I, E only. So with the help of this function, we can perform the translation. This is useful when we want to perform methods like encryption. So in encryption, instead of sending the message as such, we'll be replacing set of certain characters with another set of characters. To do that, we can use these two methods. Now let us focus on the next method, that is replace. So the replace method is mainly used for substring replacement. So here, this replaces all the occurrences of a substring with another substring and then return the copy of the string. And the syntax of this function is, first we have to specify the old string, that is nothing but which string you want to replace with which string, that is specified as a second argument. And third argument is optional, that is nothing but count. And this count is going to specify the number of times we want to replace the old substring with the new substring. And it is not a mandatory parameter, it is only optional parameter. And if we don't mention the count, then all the occurrences of the old substring will be replaced with the new substring. So only the first two parameters are mandatory, third one is optional. Now let's consider one example. I have a string, today is Sunday and it's a holiday. Now I'm calling the function replace with the help of this string, and I want to replace day with the date. So when I run this program for the first time, I'm getting to date is Sunday and it's a holiday. So I have day in three places in the original message, in today and then in Sunday and then in holiday. All the three occurrences are replaced in this because I didn't specify any count. Whereas in the second time, in the second function call of replace, I'm specifying the optional third parameter as 2. That means even though day is appearing 3 times in the original message, I want to replace only the first 2 occurrences with the data. So when I run this, to date is updated, sun date is also updated. Whereas if you consider holiday, it is not changed because I have specified the count as 2. Already day is updated with the date in 2 different places. One is this one and the second is this one. Therefore, it is not updated in holiday. So by using replace function, we can replace one substring with another substring. Try to understand the difference between this function and make trans and then translate. In case of make trans and translate, we are going to replace one set of characters with another set of characters wherever they appear in the string, irrespective of whether they appear continuously or not. Whereas in case of replace, you are going to replace one substring with another substring. So the characters in the substring should be continuous. Then only this replace will work. And the next 2 functions are checking for pattern match, whether a particular string is starting with a pattern and then ending with a pattern. For that, we have function starts with and then ends with. So starts with function is going to return true if a particular string is starting with a specified prefix, or we can say that specified substring. In this, I have string 1, which is initialized with Python is easy to learn. And I want to check whether it is starting with Python. So I am checking with the help of starts with function for this particular string str1, and I am passing Python as the argument. And when I run this, since it is starting with Python, this will return me true. Whereas if you consider the second print statement in line number 4, it is checking whether the string str1 is starting with learn. It is not starting with learn, therefore this will be returning false. And in this, we are checking from the beginning of the string. We can also specify some starting position to find the checking. So instead of searching from the beginning for starts with, we can even start from the middle of the string. For that, we can specify the second argument, that is optional. So in the second case, when I run str1.starts with Python, 10, this will start checking for Python only from the position 10. That is nothing but index 10. So when I run this, even though Python is appearing in the string 1 is actually starting with Python, but I am starting my search only from the index 10. Therefore, I am getting false because after index 10, I am not getting Python. We can also pass a tuple of prefixes for this particular function. For example, here to the starts with function, I am passing tuple. Tuple is nothing but it will be given inside parenthesis. I'm giving 2 elements in that. One is Python, another is programming. Now, this particular function, when we call, it will check whether the str2 string is starting with either Python or programming. In both cases, it will return as true. For example, if you consider the str2, it is starting with programming actually. So when I run, I'm getting true as an output. Similar to starts with, we can also use the function ends with, and this function is going to return true if a string ends with a specified suffix. So in case of Python is easy to learn, I'm checking whether this particular string is ending with learn. Actually, it is ending with learn. So for that, I'm going to use the function str1.ends with learn. When I run this, I'm going to get true. The next important method is format. This method allows us to format some portion of the string using some placeholders. Now, before going to the program, let us run the program and check what is this program. It is a program to add 2 numbers. So from the user, I am getting the two numbers. Here I am entering the numbers as 11 and then 22. When I run, I have to print the message like this. The sum of 11 and 22 is 33. So for this, in the output, I need three information to be printed. The numbers, whatever I have entered, and then the final sum along with some message. So first, I am reading the input from the user with the help of the input function. Whatever value I enter, that will be considered only as a string. So I'm going to convert that into integer, and they are stored in the variables num1 and then num2. Finally, I am performing the addition of two numbers and storing that in the variable num3. Now I want to print sum of 11 and 22 is 33. So here sum of is a message that should be printed as such. So I'm creating a string now. So everything inside double quote is a string. The sum of this is now created as a string. After that, 11 is nothing but the value I entered when I run the program. So I am creating a placeholder for that because this value is going to change according to my input. And then after that, I need and, that is a constant message. So I'm giving that as such. And then I want 22, which is nothing but the second number I entered. So for this, again, I'm creating a placeholder. Then is a constant message. So I'm giving that as a part of the string. And third is 33. It is nothing but sum of the two numbers I have entered. So that value will also change. So I'm creating the third placeholder for this. So now everything is now a string. What I'm going to do is I'm going to call the function format. So in this, I have totally three different placeholders. So for this function, I have to now supply three arguments. Calling the format function by passing three arguments, num1, num2, num3. The first placeholder will be replaced with the value of num1. Second will be replaced with the value of num2. And then third will be replaced with the value of num3. And we can also have different methods of specifying the index. So here for the placeholders, I have not specified any index. So whatever order in which you specify the arguments to the format, in the same order, they will be replacing the placeholders. Instead of that, we can even specify the index and we can access them with the help of the index. So in the second print statement, I am specifying the sum of inside the first placeholder 0, inside the second one 1, and in the third one I'm specifying 2. So in this, wherever I have 0, it will be now considering the first argument in the format function. And 1 will be replaced with the second argument in the format, and 2 will be replaced with the third argument in the format. So when I run this, I am getting the output as sum of 11 and 22 is 33, because 11 is nothing but it is stored in num1, and 22 is stored in num2, and 33 is stored in num3. I'm specifying in the same order, 0, 1, and 2. Suppose if you consider the third print statement, here I am specifying the sum of 1 and 0 is 2. So in the first placeholder, I have specified 1. That means it will take the second argument in the format. That is nothing but num2. The value of num2 is 22. And this will take the first argument, that is nothing but num1. And finally, the answer is stored in num3, which is the third argument. Therefore, that will be replacing this one. So when I run this, I am getting the answer as the sum of 22 and 11 is 33. So with the help of index, we can even change the order of referring the arguments in the format. And you can even use a named index. So what is named index is, for the index variables, I'm going to specify the name instead of numbering. So that will be easy for us to refer. So here I have specified 0, 1, and 2. Instead of that, you can give some names. So in this, I have given the names as val1, val2, and then val3. So now you have to specify which is val1 in the format. So in format, I'm specifying val1 is nothing but the value of number 1. So I'm assigning val1 is equal to num1. And val2 is assigned with num2, and val3 is assigned with num3. I run this program, first it will print the sum of, then I have val1. So what is val1? It is num1. So the value of num1 is 11. That will be printed. After that, and will be printed. Then I have val2. So val2 is now assigned with num2. Num2 is 22. So 22 will be printed. Then is printed. After that, val3. Val3 is now num3. Num3 is sum of the two numbers, 33. So that is printed. So with the help of formatting function, you can control how we want the output on the screen. And this indexing will be useful when we need to refer the same value more than one place in our output. For example, let me assume that I have two variables, name and age. They are initialized with Raj and then 22. Now I want to print a message. My best friend is Raj, full stop. Raj is 22 years old. If you see here, I'm referring Raj in two places in my output. Now let's see how we can easily achieve this with the help of index. So when I construct the message, I'm constructing my best friend is Raj. Where is Raj appearing? It is appearing in the variable name. So I'm going to create a placeholder. I'm giving the index as 0. That means whatever is the first argument in the format, that will be considered here. Then full stop. Again, I'm considering the placeholder with index 0. So we are going to refer to the same value again. Is the second placeholder I am giving 1 years old. So this one is nothing but the second argument in the format function. So now I'm going to create the message for printing. Before that, I want to format it. So for the message, I am calling the format function. I need to now pass two arguments to that. The first argument is name and the second argument is age. Now let me run this program. When I run this, I am getting the message, my best friend is, it is considering up to this. After that, I have 0 as a placeholder here. So it is going to consider the first argument name. Since name is assigned with Raj, that is printed. Then full stop. Then again, I'm creating the placeholder with index 0. So it is going to consider name. Value of name is Raj. That is printed again. Is, instead of this placeholder, we are going to consider the second argument in the format function. That is age. So age is now 22. So that is printed. Years old is a constant message. So in this 0 index is referred in two different places. So in both the places, we are referring the value. So whenever you refer in many places the same value, you can make use of this indexing. And when we deal with floating point numbers, we can even specify the number of decimal points to be printed in the output with the help of this formatting function. Let me assume that I want to print CGPA. CGPA is initialized with 3 digits in the precision. I have value 7.656, but I want to print up to 2 decimal digits. So when I want to achieve this in the format, I can specify the placeholder for achieving this one. So here in the placeholder, I am specifying 0.2f. So the meaning is f stands for floating point and 0.2 means after the decimal point, we want 2 digits. And I'm specifying the argument to the format function as CGPA because that should be formatted. And when I run this, I'm getting the CGPA is 7.66. So the 3-digit precision is now converted into 2-digit precision after the decimal point. And the final one is checking for membership by using in and then not in. So in case of a string, since it is a collection of characters, you can even check whether a particular character is a member of the string or not. That is done with the help of in and then not in operators. The in operator is going to return true when a particular character is present in the string. For example, let me consider the first print statement. Here I am checking whether the character E is present in the message. Message is initialized with welcome. E is present in welcome. Therefore, I should get true. So when I run this program, I am getting true. And in the second one, I am checking whether X is not in the message. So let me check X is not in the message. It is true. Therefore, it is returning me true. Okay, here it is checking whether X is not in the message or not. It is not in the message. Therefore, we are getting the answer as true. So with this, we have seen various built-in methods in strings. So in the next video, we'll start with the list. Thank you, everyone.